Top economists are unanimous in believing Australia's housing market is in crisis, according to a new poll. And I have to say, wow, we had to go to a group of top economists to achieve this startling revelation. It comes from a survey in which the Economic Society of Australia offered these top economists a choice of 14 measures identified as likely to restrain prices for buyers and renters. In other words, prevent property prices and rents from continuing to rise. Now, therein lies the first problem. They polled economists rather than real estate experts. If there's one thing we've learned in the past 4 or 5 years of observing real estate analysis and commentary, is that economists generally and collectively have very poor understanding of real estate markets, which is why they are so incredibly bad at predicting outcomes. But ignoring that reality, the survey asked 49 people described as leading economists to respond to the question, here is a list of measures governments could take to increase housing affordability to reduce the cost of purchasing or renting relative to wages. Which would you most support? Pick up to 3. Among them apparently are former heads of government agencies, a former Reserve Bank board member, and former Treasury, International Monetary Fund, and Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development officials. Sadly, but rather typically, the poll didn't include any property experts, just a group of individuals who have typically occupied ivory towers a long way from the coalface of property markets. And here's the next problem with the process. The tick box options presented to the leading economists did not include the only measure likely to ease the rental shortage and therefore restrain rental increases, which is providing incentives for people to become landlords. And you have to wonder why not. So whoever designed the poll, yes, it was a group of economists, failed to understand the problems they were exploring. Of the options the panel of non-experts were given to choose from, 2/3 of them picked ease planning restrictions as the most important fix. Almost as many picked provide more public housing. So most believe that creating more dwellings will fix everything amongst the problems in the property market, which again shows a fundamental lack of understanding of the problems, how they were created, and where the solutions lie. But it gets worse. About 1/3 wanted to tighten negative gearing and capital gains tax concessions. You have to wonder about the thought process here. How does causing a major deterioration in the financial position of the people who provide the homes that tenants occupy cause rents to fall? And given that investors are less than 20% of the buyers competing in the market, how does this stop prices from rising? Surely you would have to introduce measures to curtail home buyers, who comprise almost 80% of the buyers competing in the market, if you wanted to stop prices from rising. So back to the survey, about 1/3 of the respondents wanted to replace stamp duty with land tax applying to family homes. Okay, so there's one measure that might slow down home buyers a little. Also popular amongst the poll respondents were removing barriers to building prefabricated homes. That's about 31% wanted that. Fast tracking the training of home builders, 18% wanted that one. And fast tracking of immigration of home builders, and 14% favoured that measure. Again, they're all measures to increase housing supply, and this appears to assume that building more dwellings will stop prices and rents from rising. 10% of those surveyed wanted to include the family home and the age pension assets test, 8% wanted to remove first home owner grants and concessions, and 6% wanted to apply capital gains tax to family homes. So those measures at least targeted on home buyers and appear to recognise their part in causing prices to rise. But these were the least popular of the tick box choices. The most popular were all measures which assume that building more homes and curtailing property investors will fix all the problems. But that doesn't explain how clamping down on the providers of rental homes will cause rents to fall or stop prices from rising, given that most buyers competing in the market are not investors.